Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. On today's episode of me talking about 7 things, I'm going to be going over Punch by the Prairie State. Before I continue, there are some links in the description below. Please check those out if you have not already. I would highly recommend the Castaway survey link. It does require a Google sign-in, and feel free to share the link with your friends and family and whomever and advocate for who you want voted for. Now, the cold open is Fernanda walking back to her shelter and finding it on fire, and Iver is nowhere to be found. Then we go to a map and zoom in on Illinois, specifically the Shawnee Ridge area, and we meet our survivalists. We have Fernanda, who was on Naked and Afraid Latin America, also known as Supervivencia al Desnudo. She was there on season 1 and did very well, and her partner tapped on day 8, and she was by herself for a little bit, but luckily was able to merge with the other survivalists because on Naked and Afraid Latin America, you start out with 10 survivalists, and they usually merge at different points, and she was able to do that. And she also mentioned her partner tapped day 8 of her previous challenge, and my first thought was foreshadowing. And then she talks about how she is from the Sonoran Desert and is a marine biologist dedicated to sustainable fisheries. Her PSR is a 7.2. She brought a machete, and it is the same one from her previous challenge. Then we meet Iver, who is from Norway and is a Viking, a kickboxer, and a fisherman. And he's used to colder environments. His PSR is a 6.4, and he brings fishing gear. And they are also given a pot and fire starter. They head north to get to the water. There's lots of thorns. And note to anyone who wants to be on the show, train your feet. They get along well like most partners this season. There are lots of big rock walls they have to deal with, and they either have to go around the entire rocky area or they have to go through it and hopefully get through the labyrinth. I wonder how it was for the crew to get through because they're carrying lots of equipment and cameras and they have to go through these passageways that aren't super big. They're kind of narrow. So that probably wasn't very fun for them. They find water and begin work on a lean-to shelter. Fernanda accidentally cuts her leg. A medic comes and stitches up the wound, and Fernanda is told to rest and try to keep the wound from getting infected. Iver helps support Fernanda and does some extra tasks so she can rest. Night 1, and things seem to be going well until they think they hear something near the camp. It's a mountain lion, potentially, maybe, probably is, I don't know. Day 2, and Fernanda mentioned she got little sleep. Iver goes exploring. He finds some moss for bedding, and Fernanda makes a splint for herself so that she can work without accidentally hurting her leg some more. Iver mentions needing lots of sleep. That night it rains. They can't get much sleep. Day 3, and it is still raining, and Fernanda says they need to make the shelter more waterproof. After a few hours, it stops raining, and they begin reinforcing their shelter. Iver is feeling hungry and has been working hard, but it may be too hard because sometimes if one partner is unable to do some work, then the other partner works a little bit too hard and exhausts themselves too much. And once you exhaust yourself too much, then most of the time you can't really bounce back unless you have like a big meal. It begins to rain again. Day 5, it stops raining around 8:42 a.m. The shelter is keeping them dry, so they both go fishing. Unfortunately, due to the rain, it gets super muddy and they're unable to fish. Iver is worried about lack of food. Him working hard in the beginning of the challenge has taken its toll. Day 7, and Iver is feeling dizzy and tired. He is going to try and rest, and Fernanda goes exploring and makes an enclosure in the creek to try to trap some fish. Day 8, and Iver is not doing well. He has a talk with Fernanda, and he is worried about being injured, and he decides to leave the challenge the same day that her first partner did on her first challenge in Supervivencia al Desnudo. She is upset Iver is leaving and having to do it all on her own. She tries to convince him to stay, but he sticks to his decision and leaves. And I saw Iver posted a video and said that the reason he mainly tapped was because he had a kickboxing match 8 weeks after the challenge, and that he was more passionate about the kickboxing and prioritized his physical health for the kickboxing match and didn't really prioritize the challenge. And because of how much weight he was losing and how his body was being affected by not eating much or any protein, he decided that it was time to leave because he didn't want to jeopardize the kickboxing fight that he had. He also talks about how he had sciatic nerve issues since he was 14 and had to undergo many surgeries, and was able to find kickboxing after the recovery, which is why he prioritized the fight over the challenge. He wanted to maintain peak physical condition. He said if given the chance, he would like to have a redemption challenge and would take it more seriously. This highlights a tough mental attitude, and prioritizing the challenge is very important, and how the moment your mind slips and the negativity comes in, or you're thinking about other things too much, then it's all over there. And so hopefully he can get a chance at redemption, and if he does get the chance, hopefully he will take it seriously. It rains again during the night. Day 9, and Fernanda has had a rough night. Day 11, and Fernanda goes foraging. She says she lacks fishing and hunting skills. She finds some grubs to eat, and she does not enjoy the taste. Day 12, and she goes to do some fishing. She spots some crayfish and tries to catch them. She mentions how the bigger crayfish are shelling, so they are hiding more, and she tries to get the smaller ones, but they're too fast. Day 13, she tries to do more fishing. She talks about really needing protein, and I made a note of saying, are there even any fish nearby in that river? And night 14, she hears bullfrogs, and she says she'll go bullfrog hunting. Day 15, she begins her bullfrog hunt. Day 17, she's still checking for more bullfrogs. She finds one and tries to spear it, but unfortunately, the bullfrog gets away. Day 19, and she is tired, and there is a lack of resources for her, and she's worried she won't make it. Day 20, and she is still not doing great and is lacking in sleep, but she's still very determined. She makes a torch and decides to go hunt during the night because frogs are cold-blooded and they won't be able to move as much during the night. And then night 20, she begins her hunt, and she manages to find a bullfrog, and she is able to successfully capture it. But unfortunately, on her way back to her shelter, she sees that the shelter is on fire. And then we have commercial break, and then the survival kit is her gathering nettles for tea, and she does not like the taste. After the commercials and survival kit, we come back, and she mentions how she kept the fire low to keep the shelter from burning down, but sadly, she does not have a shelter anymore, and so she goes over to a rocky area where there's kind of a rock overhang and makes a new camp, and she has a fire, and she is able to cook her frog, and she boils some water so she can drink, and she tries to rest at night. And day 21, it is extraction day. She's tired but is determined to succeed. She treks northeast for 4 miles and descends down a rocky gorge. And fortunately for her, she successfully completes the 21-day challenge. Hooray! And her extraction vehicle is a tractor. She was by herself for 13 days, but she managed to make it through. She ended up losing 18 pounds, and her PSR rises from 7.2 to 7.8. And I think that she could definitely be on an XL challenge. And that's the end of the episode. All in all, good episode. Good for Fernanda. I hope Iver can get his redemption at some point. And all in all, this was a good season. My episodes that I favored the most were Couch to Cave, Mayan, Red Body Do Sacrifice, and No Legs, No Problem. I think Beauty and the Bro was a great episode for drama. The Survivalists this season were great. Lots of good partnerships, some iffy partnerships, but everyone was pretty good. Please be nice to the Survivalists. Do not send hate. Send your support. And this is also the season finale. So congrats to season 18. Good job, everybody. May those who were successful be on the list for an XL potentially. May those who completed fan challenges be asked for a 21-day challenge. To those who tapped, I'm sorry, and I hope you can get a redemption if you want. And good luck to those who are wanting to be on future seasons. I will not be one of them. And thank you all so much for listening. Please like, comment nice things, and subscribe. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. And good luck to the last one standing season 3 participants. Okay, bye-bye now. Bye-bye.